I'm joined by Mr. Navneet Sehgal, Additional Chief Secretary of Information Government of Uttar Pradesh. Thank you, sir, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you.
Sir, as the second wave of corona has badly hit the entire country, including Uttar Pradesh, and not only in urban areas, but also now the spread is reaching to the rural areas gradually. How is the government tackling the COVID to contain the spread of the disease? Plus, the country will also encounter a third wave if reports are to be believed. So, how the Uttar Pradesh government is gearing up to combat the most dangerous wave, the third wave?
Thank you, Arpit. See, as you rightly said, we are in the second wave, that's so-called called by the experts. See, our chief minister has been at it since the first wave. See, to tell you, he had constituted a team 11, of different departments for coordination, for infrastructure, logistics, hospitals, beds, oxygen, everything. So he has been continuing those meetings for last 1 year, despite the fact that at one point of time we had 76 cases per day, only 76 it was in October. The chief minister and the UP government has taken up an aggressive policy of trace, test and treat. Now, this policy we've been working for last 1 year. And for last 1 year, we have teams going into the rural areas, going into the urban wards, going home to home, searching for people with any symptoms, and then doing testing and all. So that way, UP was well prepared. But the extent of the epidemic was not known, that it would go to such an extent and it would suddenly hit a lot of people, and the spread would be very fast and furious, so to say. So there was a little period when we found we were running around for things, arranging for beds, and suddenly all over the country there was a shortage of oxygen because oxygen was needed, and but since there was a system in place, there were teams in place, there was coordination in place, so everybody worked like a well-oiled machine, and everything got arranged, and everything got settled, and now the things were properly arranged. There was oxygen available, there was bed available, there was so that way, if you see figures for today, we have now got the total numbers. They have gone down from the peak by almost 68.5%. Like, we had a peak on 24th April when every day daily cases were 310,000, and today the active cases were 310,000, and today the total number of active cases is only 106,000. And at that point of time, we had a daily cases of 38,000 per day, and today there are almost 7,000 per today, and 7,000 cases. So they have gone down by almost 31,000 cases per day, and we've come down from peak from 310,000 to 106,000. And market, there has been no let up in the tests. In fact, tests have gone up. Earlier, we used to do testing of almost 250,000 tests a day. For last 3 days, we are doing almost 290,000. Yesterday also, there were 290,000 tests, and 299,000 the day before, 291,000. So, testing has gone up. There is an aggressive testing now. The total number of positive coming has gone down. Now, positivity rate at one point of time has gone up to more than 20%, and now it is 2.6%. And our average positivity rate for this month is 3.6%. So you see, the positivity rate has come down. The overall recovery rate has also gone up to almost 91.8%, almost 92%. So this is a result of a strategic, well thought out, aggressive policy of the chief minister of aggressively tracking people, testing them, then doing aggressive contact tracing and giving them treatment. Now, I'll tell you how this is being done. You see, people are now talking about the rural area, while UP had moved into rural areas 2 months ago. I'll give you a figure like since 31st March. You see, this second wave had hit the UP state in the last week of March. The cases had started piling up. And from 31st March till 18th May, total number of tests which have been conducted in the state were 1 crore. And out of those 1 crore, 70 lakh cases were from the rural area. Almost 65.7% number of percent of cases are from rural areas, were from rural areas. So the chief minister had this thing that yes, we must go into the rural areas in advance to save the rural area. And to the credit of the state government, today 68% of our villages have no corona, totally free of corona, 68%, which is quite a large number. We have almost 97,000 villages. And now, to make more aggressive campaign to look for people with symptoms, from 5th May onwards, a special campaign has been launched. You see, the whole strategy of Uttar Pradesh has been of tracing, testing, and then treatment combined with restriction on the movement of people. See, this partial corona curfew, we call it partial corona curfew, because industrial activity has been allowed, essential services have been allowed, but movement of people have been restricted. So this plus aggressive vaccination. See, we are doing vaccination in almost 5,000 centers across the state, and almost 1.5 crore people have been given doses. 32 lakh people have been given both the doses. And now we have also started 18 plus. Well, not many states have started 18 plus, but we have started 18 plus. And almost 9 lakh people have been vaccinated in that 18 plus category. So I was telling you, now we have aggressively our surveillance committees, we call them Nigrani Samiti. They are going house to house. They have ANM and ASHA workers and the local Gram Pradhan, local village representatives. They are part of the team. They are going home to home, house to house, wherever they are finding anybody with fever or any such symptom. Those they are given immediately medical kits free of cost. And then if somebody is found with symptoms and the symptom like corona, the RRT is called and they are tested on antigen. And if antigen is found positive, then they are isolated. And if there is no place in the house, they are taken to the Panchayat Bhavan or the government school, where isolation centers have been created, and they have to stay there. Total medication is given, food is given from the government, everything is taken care of, beds and everything is taken care of. And if found negative but with symptoms, so in that case, the RT-PCR test is done. Samples are collected and sent for RT-PCR test. So that way, in the rural areas, the teams have been going very this thing. And see, another thing I must tell you, that in rural areas, there have been a lot of our friends in Delhi and other places, they have been saying that because of the Panchayati Raj local body elections, this has increased and all that. For your information, our the last phase of elections took place on 24th April and 7th April. And the counting took place on 2nd of May. And this is not that kind of election where a lot of campaigning takes place, because it's house to house, it's adjoining in the local population. And we had crossed the peak on 24th April. Had it been because of the Panchayat election, it would have shown now. It cannot be preceding the event. It is subsequent the event. So subsequently that event, the cases have gone down, and we've seen the peak on 24th April, and they have been going down since then. So to say that Panchayat elections have been this thing cause of this is not correct. not at all correct because the spread has been like there was no election in Delhi, there was no election in Maharashtra, no election otherwise in Bihar. So the spread is same. In fact, it's much faster than those states, Delhi or Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu or, of course, Tamil Nadu, there were elections, but Delhi or Maharashtra or Karnataka or Rajasthan, the spread is at the same pace as it is here or it was here. So, the people, keep looking for such unverified, not verified by data, these kind of facts. So this way, and government is able to kind of stem the tide and control the disease in the rural areas, and we are still aggressively going into the rural areas. And the corona curfew has been imposed just to stop the movement and do this house to house and surveillance in each of our rural areas. We shall be completing it, doing 100%, searching for 100% household in the rural areas in just near future.
Right, sir. But sir, if the reports are to be believed, in the very beginning, when the second wave hit the Uttar Pradesh, so there were some cases where patients died due to lack of beds, oxygen, and basic medical facilities. And of late, the arrangements were made by the government. So do you feel somewhere did the government fail to manage the crisis and any lessons learned out of those incidents?
No, you see, you can't say the government failed in the sense that there were arrangements, and I can say with surety, beds were available. Yeah, of course, there were some oxygen shortages, but it did not affect any hospital. In fact, some of the hospitals, they out of their, I don't know, they had put up false notice about oxygen shortage, while when they were checked, they had oxygen. So nobody died because of shortage of oxygen. No one. But you see, initially people were not reporting to the hospital on time. You see, there is a hesitation, among everybody that okay, I can get cured at home. So people were going to the hospital in a very late stage. And then I found, checked up with many hospitals, people are going to the hospital at the oxygen level of 70, 60. So at that kind of low oxygen level, it was difficult for the doctors also to kind of help them cure. And, you can blame anything. When in distress, people often blame others, often blame the system. But at no point of time, the shortage of bed or shortage of oxygen, it was no point of time, no one died because of the shortage. People, there were deaths because people were coming late to the hospital, and at that stage, even a 5-minute delay in shifting that patient to a bed, although bed is available, but taking time, and shifting patient from the ambulance to the bed in such a precarious situation, and the patient expired, they blame that they did not give the bed. But that was not the situation. Beds were available. And in fact, for last 1 year, the Chief Minister has been working, the government has been working to increase the number of beds, and we had estimated that we would need a lot of ICU beds. And you wouldn't believe, I was just about to tell you that when the first case hit the state in March 2020, in the first wave, we did not have testing facility. We had to send that sample to NIV Pune to check out whether it is because it was a case of Agra. And now today we are doing 290,000 tests. Similarly, that patient he was sent to Safdarjung in March 2020. We now have a capacity of almost 65,000 ICU and oxygen beds. Now, with so many oxygen and ICU beds available, I don't think at one point of time, not more than 50,000 people were in hospital. So the government has, planned and put the infrastructure in place in advance. It's not that all of a sudden this was upgraded. The Chief Minister has been reviewing, as I told you, on everyday basis for last 1 year, concentrating only on this, that we must upgrade the health infrastructure. And that has helped us to stem the rot. We have stemmed the cases. The number of cases have gone down now. People curing us now, like today, 7,000 new cases have come, but I think 16,000 people have been cured. So this is the availability of beds and availability of medicine has been ensured. And now we had put an oxygen system in place. We are the first one to put a computerized oxygen monitoring system, where movement of oxygen, movement of tankers, it was put on GPS, and all those tankers they were put on GPS, and all the hospitals and this thing they were connected with the software. So the oxygen today we have surplus oxygen, in the sense that we have 3 days stock in all the medical colleges, and we don't have any issue of oxygen.
A lot of positive steps are also there, sir. Like UP is also planning to create oxygen grid. 1,000 metric ton oxygen is being supplied, and you have also floated a global tender to procure around 40 million vaccines doses in the next 6 months. Sir, what are the progress and timelines have been set up by the government to achieve the complete vaccination target?
We want to vaccinate as many people as earliest as possible. So the effort has been to enlarge the sources of supply of vaccine. And with that objective, we had put out a global vaccine tender with the view to buy for 40 million vaccines. Because part of it, we are getting it from the domestic manufacturers like COVAX or Covishield. But there are others also which are available in the market now, in the international market at least. And Government of India has allowed the states to import these vaccines. So we had put out a tender, and today is the last day. And let's see, because in India, COVAX and Covishield plus your Sputnik, they are the 3 vaccines which have been cleared for use. And since there were not many options, but still we are trying to convince others that they can at least participate. And we'll place the orders only when they get the the permissions, they get the approvals for use in India. So that way we are the first state to go in for global tenders for sourcing of vaccine.
Right, sir. And some conditions have also been relaxed later. So
to enlarge the participation. Like in pre-bid meeting, 6 companies had taken part. Like COVAX and Covishield was there, but people from Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson and your Cadila and some Korean companies. So these 6 people participated. They showed interest. Let's see what is the response today.
Sir, my one last question to you. A lot of things are happening in Uttar Pradesh now, and the UP government has also leveraged the technology in a big way. I would say to a great extent, like you have set up integrated command and control center, you are doing real-time tracking of oxygen, you have a portal for availability of ICU beds, e-passes, etc. So what is the future roadmap of e-governance you see in Uttar Pradesh, and what role do you see for the private sector here?
No, you see, like as you said, we have been using technology, and we have used it in the recent those second wave impacts also. Like integrated COVID command control centers have been working throughout the districts. We have a CM helpline which is calling 40 to 50,000 people every day. We have a online availability of beds. We have online facility for issue of e-passes for curfew and all that. We have put up a oxygen monitoring system also, as I told you. there is a huge potential. Now, what we are doing is the technology is helping us in the sense that for rural areas, we are asking the rural population to go to the nearest common service center to get themselves registered for vaccination. And the operators have given us concession that they won't charge anything. So this technology will bring the rural folks in connect with the vaccination process. So there are a lot of we are doing a lot of telecommunication. Private sector can come and join us in our telecommunication process. WhatsApp has helped us in few districts to set up pods where information is available to the public. Actually, with restriction of movement, many things are going online, and technology is a big help in managing in these circumstances. And technology for medicine, technology for as oxygen, technology for other infrastructure, and the technology for calling up people for consultation or for your telemedicine. All these technologies have large scope, and the facility for group calling. These facilities are needed for door-to-door service, because in the containment areas, we don't allow anyone to go inside or allow anyone to go outside. So for those micro containment zones, you need doorstep delivery. So there you need technology. So there's a lot of scope for private sector to come in and help the government with usable software and with usable technologies for any of these purposes.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. We hope that we come out of these difficult times as soon as possible, and we wish you all the best for your future endeavors as well. Thank you for talking to the Economic Times.